Hey boys and girls, it's KnightStalker here. Welcome along today to the PTR preview of Conqueror's Blade Season 14, Scorpio. Check it out, man. This season is going to be all about some Middle Eastern assassins, the Hashashin, and all of those sort of absolutely beautiful and cool things. And I'm just going to be here today to tell you a little bit about the season, and so you can see. I'm going to put some, chapters in the bar below, so you can look up what you're interested in and maybe skip over things that you're not interested in. Things I'm going to talk to you about today are the Battle Pass. We're going to look at the seasonal challenges. We're going to look at units. We're going to look at the cavalry, the infantry, and the tier 5. And the new Doctrine System. There is a completely new Doctrine System. Well, not completely new. Mostly new Doctrine System. There is a new way of doing merc units. There is something called unit sharing, and also the Longsword has had a rework. That's right, a rework, and it is rather different. So we'll talk about that in the end. Anyway, let's get on first, and we're going to talk about the Battle Pass and all the good things that you're going to get. You can see here, this is the Battle Pass 100 skin, and the horsey armor as well. On a zebra, the zebra doesn't become a skin. If you have a brown horse, it'll be a brown horse with this particular non-stripes, but the armor and stuff, right? So, Battle Pass. Let's have a look. So, the format remains broadly the same. Clickety, 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 clickety. I've got a bit of an echo today, so you might hear my clickities a bit more than you ordinarily would. So, here is the level 1 Battle Pass skin. One thing you're going to get this season is you're going to get 50% more glory earned, so you'll be able to travel further along if you buy the Battle Pass. It comes down to about $1 a week. You know, if you like the Battle Pass, you should get it. It's not very expensive, and you know all of those little dopamine rewards you get from getting hooked up with all of these little beautiful things after every couple of matches. Plus, you know, there are some significantly advantageous things like the scrolls. What do you actually call these? Schematics. I had a mind blank there. I've been up since 4:30 this morning because of the time zones. And these are all the good things you're going to get. I'll explain what these wisdoms are when we get to the doctrine crafting. So, where are we? We're going to get all the way up to these things here are very important as well. We'll talk about those. Where is level 50, please? Oh, there we go. This is the unit skin. I wish they wouldn't use the Challnge model to show these, but, you know, there's the horsey skin. Kind of cool. But they look like the Hashashins, or the Arabian guys up on top of the horsey there. Then when we get to a BP 100... This thing here is critical, by the way. Not this one. There's the horse skin I was telling you about. Scratch that. I was thinking of something. It's this thing here, all right? Doctrine Spirit. I'll explain those when we get to the doctrines. You get another epic artillery. These pure wisdoms are lovely. Here's one of the emotes. Yeah, it's pretty cool, hey? Did I show you the other one? I'll show you when we get to look in. And here's the Battle Pass 100 skin. There is the female Battle Pass 100 skin. There is the male Battle Pass 100 skin. Beautiful. I think you ladies got the better deal this season. If you're going to go up to level 300, you'll get a title called Shadow Scorpion. You know, if you have no life, if you forget to touch grass once in a while, level 300 is calling you. Well, you could buy your way up to it. You know, if I worked my way up to level 300, I think I'd be sitting in my office recording for God knows how long. So long that when I came out, my beard would touch my knees, and my children wouldn't remember my name. And you know, Dad's not a hard name to remember, so perhaps I'm not really going to go for the Shadow Scorpion. All right. Let's have a look here. I'll just show you the other emote you can get. Where are we? We want to do the personalize emotes. Here's the other one you can get. Are you a fan of this emote? And there's the one we had a look at before. If you follow that up with one of those fireworks that you get in the reward boxes, I'm sure that would come up absolutely beautiful. So, seasonal challenges. Let's have a look here. Seasonal challenges. The only one I want to note to you that is different is you're actually going to get here. You're going to get a Doctrine Spirit reward. Now, this is the thing I was talking to you about that's going to be absolutely critical. This is each player is going to be able to get 2 per season. right? And I'll explain what the Spirit Doctrine reward is when we'll go and talk to Doctrines. The seasonal store for this month, I don't know why, but we've got braces. There's the braces. See how they've got like scorpion marks on them? You can't see the one under my right arm, but it has a scorpion on it. There's the unit skin again, and this one. The antiques are the ones from the Scottish season. So if you miss those, you can get it. By the way, these commander attires, this season is the very last chance to get any of these ones. So if you want to get any of those, you are on a timer. Everything else there is pretty much the standard. Seasonal runes, we'll talk about runes. Yeah, why don't we talk about runes now? So some of the runes that are actually available these days are pretty nasty. So I'll have a look at them one by one here. Here are the Longsword runes. All of these ones we have had before. This one here is going to be particularly useful when I get to the Longsword rework, so take a note of that. What else have we got? Maul? Yeah, sure, we're going to bind that. Here are the Maul runes. Pretty nice indeed. What about the dual blades? Not bad at all either. Short bow. We're only going to be skipping through these very quickly, otherwise it would be a long video and not very interesting, right? So here we go. Short bow is quite significantly buffed this season, as you can see. Bow also got a wee bit of a buff this time around. Fires an arrow that ignores blocking. Beauty. I'm sure I'm going to absolutely love being on the receiving end of that. Musket's got a little bit of a buff in terms of its runes this season. Area of effect increased by 25%. Cooldown for scatter shots reduced by 2 seconds, so if you're a scatter shot lover. Also note that the liquid fire now has increases burn damage by 10%. I read somewhere, I think it may be lost in translation because I was also watching this from the booming servers as well as the My Game servers, and I think that's going to leave fire on the ground for 3 seconds. That's one to watch. Here's the Darchie. So Darchie's got a couple of skills changed as well, and it's now a CC monster. Like hang up your poleaxe, boys. Roll over here's no Darchie. Spear is still the red-headed stepchild with no love. Here's ye oldie poleaxe. Oh, reliable. That's what the poleaxe is. Oh, reliable. Note the 4 seconds of crowd control immunity on the glaive. Here's a fairly standard sort of buffs that you get with the short sword. I'm sure you can find some really interesting stuff to do with that little combo. Pike is pike. Adds a slow effect to skills. Block break increased by 30%. Yeah, that's what we need. Normal attack damage and armor pen by 8%. That's quite a nice one, I think. I'm not a pike player though. So them's the runes. Hope you enjoyed looking at that. So let's go now, and we're going to look at the units. So let's head over to the training room. So here is our very first unit, the camels. Now the camels have a couple of skills. They've got like a charge. That's more like if you hit V on any other unit. These guys do that. It's a very strange skill. So you have to physically walk them up using the X, and then you hit 2 and they'll start spamming spears into people around them. And barricade. This is basically, if you imagine the Fort Brachio pikemen, did I say it right this time? They brace. This unit has a pike brace. It's also anti-cavalry. I'll show you the stats after we do the training room. My main problem with the camels is that they are slow as balls. Like, they are slow, bro. They are slow. Look at this. Brace. This thing where they stand up, that's just a latency issue because the PTR server has very, very low bandwidth. And if you hit the 2 key, this is what they do. Think about like an Armiger's cover commander, except it doesn't center on you, it centers where the heck they are. And as you can see, the damage is not high. The damage is not high. These guys all have tier 5 purple doctrines on them, which we'll talk about the tiers of purple doctrines real soon. Like, here's a unit of one-hit kill archers. Let's see how long it takes them to kill. Right, if you've got Armiger Lancers, you'll be aware that this unit would already be wiped and dead at this point. Right, so I don't know about this unit, boys and girls. I do not know if this unit is going to be effective. You compare this to Armiger Lancers, who are the same tier, same leadership cost. I have no words to describe how much better Armiger Lancers are. I seriously hope that they get a buff. Don't forget, this is not the final version. It says that their speed is 7.0. The thing is that if you were to do this, I can run faster than this cavalry can move, right? Something's wrong. Let's take out the other guys. Alright, so first thing I'm going to tell you is this number 3, that is a doctrine I've put on them. Completely ignore that. That is not a skill that is available to this unit naturally. So we have 2 skills. One is just throw your knives. And by the way, these guys will just automatically throw knives while they're running around, and they're actually very quick. Here's the honed edge. So the unit throws a knife in the current direction face. Soldiers' movement speed and damage dealt are increased for a short period of time, and it is very lethal. These guys, however, have a very low amount of health, somewhere around the 6,000 mark. We'll check that after this, and you can make your own calls. So have a look. If I just walk them around, anytime they're in range, they'll start chucking knives. If you use the 2 key, that's throw a knife. But I don't think we're going to end up using that skill an awful lot, because if you hit the 1 key, they throw a knife and then go berserk. And the difference is like night and day. The 2 skill is, like, I do not see the purpose in the 2 skill. Soldiers' movement speed and damage is increased for a short period of time. I don't see the point in the 2 key. These guys will move and shoot anyway. You know, this is only in basic testing here, right? So like, directed shot, and then into the 1. And the 1 skill is just infinitely better than the 2 skill. But of course, if you want to run away because you're getting your butt smacked, you can do so. I was trying to demonstrate there that they actually shoot while they're running around, but for whatever reason they were not complying. But the 1 skill, you can spam it. It's very low cooldown, 3 seconds, and yeah. It's very nice. It's very nice. Quite like this unit, actually. I think it's going to dominate in the early season, you know, the blue-only battles. I think it's going to be very dominant. So, the next one is the YESSSSSS. It's a tier 5 unit. Now, we don't have access to the tier 5 unit today, so I'm going to insert a quick teaser clip right here.
You shall not feel this. Don't fight it.
So there we go. YESSSSSS looking pretty nice, pretty nice, pretty nice. So let's talk about then the stats and things of the camels. Don't worry too much about these doctrines because we have access to every doctrine in the game on this test server. This is what you might call a tier 5 purple doctrine. If that sounds interesting, keep watching. Veterancy line. So the veterancy lines are... I don't know which one to choose. This one ends in, when you assume wedge formation, their damage versus infantry will increase by 10% for 5 seconds. The problem is it takes about 5 seconds for them to crouch. I have questions. Same here. if you go into the wedge formation, their damage taken from infantry will be decreased by 10% for 5 seconds. Again, it takes them 5 seconds to crouch. I don't know. I don't know if it's worth it. Their charge is whack as well. But maybe you can figure out some combos. Obviously, I've only just got my hands on these. I cannot be a definitive authority on them. The other one down the bottom here is really probably the one that most people are going to take, because when you do that charge, it sends soldiers flying, so they'll cause some CC effects. Now this might be the saving grace of this unit, and there's no point in testing something like this within the training room. It has to get into a siege battle, but there's only about 20 of us content creators online, and we really can't do that. I'm sure many people will do testing over the next little while. So what are their abilities? 10% leadership, 10-point leadership reduction this season. Camels are decked out in thick scale armor, granting them high health and strong protection. They are not easily affected by crowd control effects. And in fact, when they do their brace, they are immune to crowd control effects, except when being on fire. So between the charge having this and the brace having CC immunity, maybe that's the saving grace of the unit, yeah? Here are their stat lines. One of the big things I want you to note is the nearly 20,000 hit point health pool, and you can add to that using any of these, right? Like, there are significant additions. This unit will have 18 to 20,000 hit points. Speed is 7. I don't think it's 7, to be honest. Well, it does feel about that. It just feels like they are too slow for cavalry to me. I don't know. Damage is good, armor is very good. So if you consider these in the context of like a monastic knights that can brace and have a sudden flying charge, there's a lot to be tested in real siege battles and real territory battles with this unit. And I can't answer all your questions at the moment. Real sorry. Let's have a look then at the Challnges. So, their line is fairly simple. They get a lot of ammo, a lot of speed, and they get slow effects. It's the one I've gone for here, the slow effects. I don't know, man. It doesn't seem to do a lot. Like, you can stack from 10% up to 30%, but it's cleared after 7 seconds. I think they're trying to create a hit and run type unit, but this unit is too open formation, too... they can only shoot forwards, which is a weird thing. So the way that they're facing, so you can't flee while you're shooting. I don't know. And this one here is maybe, I don't know, ranged hunter. The knife hits will inflict 200 bleed damage. When you consider though that the unit size is 24, so what are you creating there? 5,000 damage if every single knife hits? Is it worth it? Hey man, you're going to have to make that call for yourself. Notice that they've got 8,651 health. That is very little health. That's archer level health. And it's not a lot. Well, sorry, probably musket level health. And yeah, their armor is, well, non-existent. This level of armor might as well not exist virtually. So there we go. There's the Challnges. And I don't have, obviously, the YESSSSSS to show you. So... that was one thing actually that I don't know if I showed you earlier. Where did I see it? Right, I found it. The thing I wanted to show you was this. I don't think we're supposed to be able to see this, but they have given us full permission to show anything from here on our videos and streams. This is what the chain dart and scimitar look like. Are we supposed to be able to see this yet? I don't know, but they can't cover all their bases, and we do have full permission to show everything. There's the scimitar, there's the chain dart. And on the 6th of December, CET, at 5:30 PM, there is an event for all the content creators and the CB staff that will highlight this weapon. I'm not going to be able to make that. I have a prior engagement, but there will be streams, videos, and the official site as well will be hosting that. So... there we go. That's what the chain dart and scimitar look like. Alright, the next thing I wanted to talk to you about is the Doctrine. So, here we go. You've got the same thing as you would normally get, right? Excavate them, or you can excavate them one at a time, or if you've got the ancient one, you can get it from there. Here's the thing. That's crazy, man. Here's the thing. You're going to get things along the way called wisdoms. and they come in the same rarity as the doctrines. Now, what can happen now is you can turn your doctrines into better doctrines. How do you do that, KnightStalker? Well, I'm glad you asked. You hit X and you see this thing up the top here, Doctrinal Alchemy. Now, what you can do is you can add any doctrines that you don't want to use, that you don't want anymore. And we can begin the process. I'll explain that in a minute. And what happens is it turns your doctrines that you don't want into a new doctrine. Well, in this case, we got an Epic Wisdom. Unfortunate. That was the lowest possible roll. Well, one of the two lowest possible rolls. So what happens is when you stack these in here, you know how you've got Spear Doctrine 1, Spear Doctrine 2, Spear Doctrine 3. Those are the levels of the doctrine, right? And then you're going to get higher tier doctrines as well. You can add any 8 doctrines into here. Any 8, all grey, for example. The doctrine that you get will always be purple epic. Always. Here is the percentage chances of getting a tier 1, 2, 3, 4 or 5. If you're only going to use all of these, your chances of getting a tier 5 doctrine are only 3%. These pure wisdoms here, what they do is they give it a boost. You can get some of those, and I would suggest using those pure wisdoms only when you're converting large amounts of higher tier doctrines. Here we go. And this is what happens when we make a doctrine. Increases damage dealt to units by 110, increases all types of damage by 70 points. These new doctrines are amazing. Amazing. What happens if we just add a whole bunch of these? Like, let's have a look. We're going to mix it in. And we've got ourselves, look, we've got a 14% chance because we've got some higher tier 1s in here. But whatever one you use will always be purple when it comes out, unless you get one of the wisdoms, which is a bit sucky. Boom. What does this one do? Block Doctrine 4 for tower shields. Increases block by 300 points and reduces damage taken by 70 points. Put those on your shield maidens, alright? Some of these new doctrines are amazing. Now, I hear you screaming, OMG, I'm going to put RNG on your RNG, dog, because I heard you like RNG. Dog, we got you covered. What if we go back to our inventory and we have a look at these things here called Doctrine Spirits? Now, I mentioned earlier that you'll get 2 of these per character in every season. And what they do is they'll take you to here, and if you know how we've always had these problems where you can't get double shot for your Pavi's crossbows and you've opened 5 million tree ties? Well, this one will now give you the choices. Oh, I expected there to be more choices than this. They described it to us as having more choices. I suspect, when it all comes around, that there actually will be better choices available, rather than being pure RNG. Although that little test right there, I was saving those so I could show you guys. Doesn't fill me with a supreme amount of hope. Anything that's based purely on RNG, you can't plan for it and you can't work towards it, and that's a bit disappointing, you know. So it is what it is, and that's how the new Doctrine System works. So, and yeah, when you're actually in this thing here, it doesn't matter what you put in here, you will always get a purple, and this is the chance of it being a higher tier purple. Okay, moving right along. So these days, mercenary units. The mercenary units, you get what you get. Auxiliary units, sorry. They get what you get, all right? Now, there's actually going to be a system implemented where if you don't like these ones, you can re-roll it. It's not available yet, but there'll be a button somewhere, I imagine, and you hit the re-roll button and it'll give you a whole set of new ones. So one of the cool things about that is, you know how sometimes Lao's Rangers are on auxiliary mercenaries. The problem is then you have every game is full of Lao's Rangers. What that allows players to do now is to re-roll them and have some other options available to them. Like, because here what you're going to do is you're going to end up with a server full of grandpas and flamers, right? That's inevitably what's going to happen. Now that won't, or it'll happen less. The other thing that is becoming implemented that I can't actually show you at the moment is something called unit sharing. So at the moment there's not a lot of information about it. It is going to be implemented, and the idea is that you've got a housemate who's relatively new. You say, hey man, you need to get yourself some cataphract lances for territory wars, and they're like, oh, I don't know much about cataphracts. If I work towards them, am I really going to be any good? You can send your unit to them. You say, here's my unit, and it'll keep their skills, their experience, their veterancy, their doctrines, and the player gets to play with your unit, literally your unit. They're unable to explain to us whether that's unavailable to you while your friend is using it. I would say probably. Who pays for the unit kit loss? Again, they're not able to answer that question. And can you share it with friends who are outside of your house? Can you share it with people on your friends list? Can you share it with a random off the street? Again, they've not been able to answer those questions, but hopefully we'll have answers to those questions too. Alright, the last thing I wanted to show you today is the Longsword rework, because that is close to my heart, as you might be able to imagine. It's the only rework in the season. There are other things that, like if you're an Adachi player, you may be sitting up and taking notice at this point. I'm just going to flick over it real quick, and you can just go back and hit the pause key if you actually want to do it. But there's several weapons that have had changes that are quite significant, but Longsword has actually had a rework. So the most obvious things here right now, this here will have caught your eye if you're a Longsword player. What's that about? Well, the Knightly Vows is no longer a separate skill. It becomes a two-part skill with Mercy of Heaven. Now, Mercy of Heaven instantly restore 10% of your health, 3% of your health every second, lasts 11 seconds. That's nice. What it doesn't mention here, I have tested it, it still heals your unit for 1% per tick, which I assume will be an 11-second tick now, but it's hard to do. I actually didn't measure it, so you're going to get a 15% mileage reduction while using the skill, and this skill grants a pious effect, so it grants it to your units and friendly units, increasing their defenses by 50% for 3 seconds. Hoorah! Extra effect 3, when pious ends, and unwavering. So once those 3 seconds have run out, they're then going to get another 5 seconds of increased defenses by 20%. Whew. And once you use it, the Mercy of Heaven skill disappears, and the button is replaced with Knightly Vows. So what happens is that they've both got a 10-second cooldown, right? So you hit Heaven, 10 seconds, hit Knightly Vows, 10 seconds, hit Mercy, 10 seconds, hit Knightly, 10 seconds, hit Mercy, 10 seconds. You can see where this is going, and all of those longsword players who really enjoy playing support and really enjoy getting all of that damage soaked up and things like that are probably drooling at this point, because this is amazing. It used to be a 20-second cooldown on Mercy of Heaven, and Knightly Vows was completely worthless and nobody took it. Well, I'm not looking at you, Alan. Some weirdos take it. So your movement speed and that of nearby allies is increased by 20% for 9 seconds. The skill gains a Valor effect, increasing all defenses by 30% for 3 seconds. After Valor ends, a Spirited effect is obtained, increasing all types of armor penetration by 15% for 5 seconds. That includes friendly heroes. Other time remaining will be reset when you hit an enemy with any skill. Okay, yo, who wants longswords on their team now, boy? You all want longsword standing next to you at this point, I'm sure. In effect, when the skill is used, it's replaced with Mercy of Heaven. So again, when this is used, it will disappear and be replaced with Knightly Vows button. When Knightly Vows button is used, it will disappear and show Mercy of Heaven. Oh yeah. What about this lot? Here's the thing. The Clash of Shields, it's a slight increase in damage, it looks like. I couldn't quote you the exact damage, but it looks like a fairly decent increase in damage. You'll notice that there are no runes or anything now that make you immune or have a damage reduction during the Clash of Shields. So maybe the Clash of Shields is not going to be the most popular skill for this season. Sally forth. One thing that you will notice is that, say press 3 times, you'll notice that it has a 500 damage reduction, thereabouts, but it also has a 50% percentage increase. Whew, and enemies are sent flying. So yeah, This one will send you flying into the enemy ranks where you probably don't want to be anymore. This one here is kind of short-ranged and smashes people in the face. It may well be that the new meta build will include Sally Forth for the first time ever. Martial prowess is no longer garbage. Martial prowess is now very, very good. You can see that the defense values of enemies a hit are reduced by 15% for 6 seconds. Additionally, its dazed and knockdown effects are removed on self. Oh yeah, it's another recovery skill now. Next best thing, Paladin. Boy, look how the skill has changed. It's no longer what it was before. It's entirely changed the skill. Old Paladin doesn't exist. New Paladin, stomp. It's like a mini Sally Forth, right? Step forward and strike your sword, blah, 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 blah. It also is a recovery skill. Dazed and knockdown skills effects are removed. Booyah! What about with Valor, you ask? Well, it's had a small damage increase. Other than that, it's exactly the same. But I don't actually think, after playing for 10 seasons in a row with Valor, I don't think I'm going to end up using it all that much anymore. Same with Sally Forth, Shield Bash, sorry. Bash an enemy 2 times with your shield. Here's the problem. It's no longer recovery. It's no longer a recovery skill. But you'll notice that the first hit slows the enemy by 75% for 3 seconds. Now, the skill would be garbage if it wasn't for that. The Paladin skill used to slow the enemy for 50% for 5 seconds, and that meant that any heroes that got hit with that skill can't get away and your team would gank the hell out of them. This is what Shield Bash is now going to be used for. You give someone the tap, and don't worry about the second effect. If you tap someone with this skill, your DPS heroes on your team will absolutely gank them because they can't move, man. For 3 seconds, they're like crippled. Only problem is it's no longer a recovery skill. So, I don't know, man. The options at this point are endless, and I can't wait to get into it and actually start using some of these in the new season. My primary build, I think, at the moment is probably going to be Paladin, Martial Prowess, Mercy Knight, and probably Sally Forth. And that's going to horrify some of you people who have been watching my Longsword guides for the last 400 years, you know. I've never used Sally Forth, but it might be the go this season because Clash no longer gets the damage reduction, and it no longer one of the good things about it is that it slowed the enemy from standing up again, and it no longer does that. So hey, anyway, boys and girls, that's everything I want to talk to you about today for season 14 Scorpio. So I hope you learned something new, or you just enjoyed the video. Thank you so much for coming to my channel.